Welcome to the Service Industry Podcast. I've spent the last decade as a CEO, operator, and business builder selling tens of millions of dollars in products and services. I, just like many of you, started with nothing. My mission for this podcast is to help you become the greatest version of yourself, help you grow and scale your business, and create the life you've always dreamed of. I'm your host, Matt Smith. Enjoy the episode. What's going on, guys? Matt here from the Service Industry Podcast. Hope everybody is doing well. Today, I've got a micro episode for you. You're like, what does that mean? Just really short, but it's a good one, man. I've got 2 pointers today for why your business isn't growing. And I want you guys to get this so bad because it is one of the core things I think about on a daily basis, not just with people I work with, but in my own life. This is an episode I'm talking to myself on, and I talk to myself about this every single day, and I just want to share it with you guys because I want you guys to really ponder these 2 things that I'm going to talk about today. Hey, before I dive in, as you guys know, I own ServiceIndustryCoach.com. We specialize in marketing home service businesses, print marketing, websites, everything. If you want help from somebody who has done what you are trying to do, you want to take out the guessing work of marketing. You want to know what offers work, what designs work, and you want to do it from the start. You got to work with us. I always put the link in the show notes, but you can go to ServiceIndustryCoach.com and check out what we do there. Feel free to reach out with any questions. I would love to do business and help you guys grow. Second, if you haven't joined the free Facebook group, what are you waiting for? That link's in the show notes too. We have 260-ish people in there now. Super, super fun. And hey, if you're in there and you're listening to this, dude, you guys are contributing like crazy lately. I love it. So it's becoming a really close-knit group. If you're not in it and you own a business, get in there. All right. We're talking today the 2 reasons why your business isn't growing. Okay. And these 2 things go together, but I want to talk about both of them individually. And then at the end, we'll tie them together and it's all going to make a lot of sense. This, I'm going to be very honest, this might be a little bit of a hard episode for some of you to listen to. In fact, this episode might piss some of you off. This episode might make you think that I'm not a nice guy. This episode might make you delete this podcast. I know that because I look at the reviews in the podcast, and I don't even know how many reviews we have now, 150 some reviews, and there's just a handful who left bad reviews, and it's because of episodes like this one that I'm about to record, and it's because I offended somebody. But it says a lot more about them than it does me. And if you're one of the people today that get offended by this, it's going to say a lot more about you than it does me. And if this does offend you for any reason, then maybe, just maybe, you are the person that I'm talking to, and you are the person that needs to hear this. But I want you to know, everything I say today is out of love, because I want every single one of you to win. And I've been in every single one of your shoes as far as it comes to growing a business. I know what you're going through. I know it's hard. But today we're going to talk about 2 things that most people don't want to hear because it's the truth. And they know that they must conquer these 2 things if they want to get to where they want to go. All right? So number 1, your business is not growing because you can't fulfill on the smallest promises that you make to yourself. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Your business is not growing because you can't even fulfill on the smallest promises that you make to yourself. You tell yourself it's a new year, you're going to work out 5 days a week. You don't. You say that you're going to eat healthy. You don't. You eat out. You eat like crap. Nothing's changed. You tell yourself there's going to be less screen time, so you're less distracted. You have more time working on your business and hanging out with your family. But nothing changes. Your screen time report's the same as it was a year ago. And so the reason your business isn't growing isn't because you're necessarily doing something wrong in the business, although there's always ways to improve that. Now, disclaimer, if you're doing nothing in your business, you're not marketing, you're not doing anything, of course it's not growing. But the real reason it's not growing is because you can't even fulfill on the small promises you make to yourself. So if you can't fulfill on the small promises you make to yourself, how will you ever fulfill on the promises you make to yourself in your business? If you can't even get yourself out of bed at the same time every day, how are you going to get yourself out putting door hangers on front doors 5 days a week all year long? How? It's impossible. You can't even get yourself to go work out. How are you going to market your business consistently every single day? Which, by the way, getting up and putting door hangers on front doors every day and grinding is hard. It's mentally fatiguing. It requires discipline. And if you can't fulfill the promises you make to yourself, something as simple as eating better, spending less time on your phone, if you can't say no to those things, you're done. And I know, because I am equally as guilty as a lot of you guys. Specifically on the screen time thing. I'm like, dude, I'm on my phone a lot, right? Sometimes I'll blame it on business. I'm like, well, I'm running a business and blah, 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 blah. But it's all crap, right? I could probably shave, if I'm being realistic, 2 hours a day off my phone. And all of you guys could too, okay? My business could be scaling way bigger right now if I were to put my phone in the other room for 2 hours a day and simply work, rather than being distracted and only working at 30% capacity. Okay, I'm allowed to say this stuff because about 3-4 years ago, I was 50 pounds overweight. Okay, today I weigh like 165-ish. At my heaviest, I was 205, 210. So yeah, about 45 pounds. I was fat. I was a fat piece of crap. And I made excuses every day about why I wouldn't eat healthy and why I couldn't go to the gym and how I was too tired and how I didn't have time and how I was growing a business. And I was honestly like tooting my horn that I'm a entrepreneur who hustles 12, 13 hours a day. And I would come home and I would take my shirt off to get in the shower and not look at myself in the mirror because I was disgusting. I was far from the greatest version of myself. And it took me hitting rock bottom a couple years ago to wake the F up and go, what are you doing, dude? Look at yourself. You're fat. You are no different than any other person walking down the road right now. You blend in with every other person. And it's pathetic. I was this guy. I couldn't keep the smallest promises that I was making to myself. And I said enough is enough. I went and got a gym membership and I went all in, dude. I started working out 5 days a week, every single week. And it was hard. It was hard at first. For the few months, it was hard. I was grinding. I was sore. But guess what? I did that. I cut out fast food. And this was during, I believe I started doing this in the month of November or December. And I remember coming to my golf league in April. And I show up and like everybody's jaw drops because they hadn't seen me since last fall. They're like, dude, what happened this winter? I'm like, bro, I just got serious about my health. I started going to the gym. I started keeping the promises I made to myself. And the transformation was insane. The weight fell off me. I started getting muscles. I started getting toned. I was getting stronger. And would you know it? Every day I started doing it, it got a little bit easier and a little bit easier and a little bit easier, where I started having to add new challenges in my workouts, adding cold plunge, adding running, which I absolutely despised, to make it harder because it got easy. And now I go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week without even thinking about it. It's not even a struggle anymore. In fact, if I don't do it, I almost feel out of place. But I didn't get there from day one. It took months of continual discipline and holding myself accountable and keeping the promises that I make to myself. And would you know it? When I started to live that way, guess what? My business started to grow. So that's number one. You guys need to start fulfilling on the promises you make to yourself. If you can't fulfill on the promises you make to yourself, you'll never grow anything significant, and you definitely will never live the life that you want to live. Okay? Number two, your business isn't growing because you haven't grown personally. Okay? Your business will never outgrow your personal growth. Ever. Why would you expect to grow this big, huge business if you're not growing personally? You're the one running it. Okay? The business will never outscale the businessman who owns the business. It's just the way it works. So if you're not getting better personally, if you're not getting healthier, if you're not working out, if you're not gaining more skill, you're not learning how to market your business, you're not learning getting better at becoming a great leader, okay? If you're not putting yourself in tough situations so you can become better, your business is not going to grow. And so this is kind of the exercise I like to use with this. Ask yourself, what would a person look like who owns the type of business I want to own? So let's say you say, Matt, I want to own a exterior cleaning business that does $5 million a year. Cool. What's that guy look like? What's his habits? What's he look like physically? What kind of skills does he have? What's he good at? What kind of leader is he? That's a great way to understand what you need to do in order to get your business to where you want to go. Okay? You have to grow personally, constantly. And I'm here to tell you, it's a little bit of a daunting realization, but it never ends. Okay? Just as getting healthy never ends. It's not like, hey, I went to the gym, I was 205 pounds, I lost 40 pounds, and then I was good. Dude, I'm good. No, dude. It's like, I go to the gym, I lost 40 pounds, I go to the gym. Forever, until I can't anymore. Or else I'll get fat again. Or else I'll get out of shape. I'll fall back into that trap. The same goes for personal development. It never ends. You always have to be developing yourself in order to scale up and become better. And so the businessman must grow if he wants the business to grow with it. And if you're not growing personally, do not be surprised when the business does not grow. Okay, so here's the hack. So we tie this all together. I told you it's going to be a short episode. Here's the hack. When you fulfill on the promises you make to yourself, okay, number one, that's the first thing we talked about. When you fulfill on the promises you make to yourself. Number two, the personal growth automatically happens. I'm going to say that again. When you fulfill on the promises you make to yourself, the personal growth automatically happens. Now, if you're in the Facebook group, you know I made a post about this a couple days ago. And you guys are probably saying to yourself, "Oh, that's pretty basic advice, Matt." You're right. It is, but the numbers don't lie. Almost nobody lives that way. Almost nobody keeps promises to themselves, and almost nobody is growing personally. And you want to know how you measure this? You ask yourself, am I the same person this year as I was last year? If the answer is yes, why? If the answer is no, what changed? Could you have changed more? Could you have developed at a faster rate? Right? Because everyone knows these things. These aren't like secrets that people are withholding from you. You know you should fulfill on the promises you make to yourself. Okay? And here's a little thing that I'm just thinking about on the spot. The consequences of not fulfilling the promises to yourself is losing confidence. Losing confidence in yourself and in your abilities. And when you don't fulfill on the promises to yourself enough times, you will lose full confidence in your abilities and what you're capable of. And when you lose confidence, you lose belief. And belief is the only thing that will keep you going on hard days. But if you can't keep a promise to yourself, you will have zero confidence and you will have zero belief and you will not succeed. Okay? And the reality is, most people are walking around like that. My buddy Ethan commented and he said, common sense does not equal common practice. Basically saying, what I just said is common sense, right? Like no one is shocked by hearing this message today, but it doesn't mean it's common practice. It doesn't mean that it's something that most people practice in their life. And why is that? Because it's hard. Most of the common sense things are hard because it's not the understanding of what we're talking about. It's the doing. And the doing is where everybody gets hung up. Very few people do. And listen, all business knowledge stuff is so mainstream now that even non-business people understand this stuff, but they still don't do it because it takes discipline. It takes sacrifice. It means when you go out to dinner on a Friday night, instead of having alcohol like you normally would, you have water because you know you need to wake up Saturday morning and go to the gym and you want to feel good. And guess what? I got news for you. When you do it long enough, you stop craving the bad habits that you used to have. You stop thinking the things that were once fun but detrimental to your personal growth. You stop thinking they're fun. They're not anymore. You know what's fun? Feeling good. You know what's fun? Being jacked. Being healthy. That's what's fun, dude. Being different than everybody else. Walking into a room and being in shape while everybody else is eating donuts at the morning meetings and they're 40 pounds overweight, and you can look them dead in the eyes and shake their hands and be proud of yourself because you were once there, but not anymore, because you made the choice to simply do the work and be disciplined and keep the promises you make to yourself. And guess what? Because of that, you will be more successful than every other person at the table. I promise. This isn't me saying those are bad people. Keep in mind, I'm not fat shaming. I literally have a review on my podcast saying that I fat shame people. Dude, you can't call me a fat shamer. I used to be fat. Okay, that game doesn't work. I'm speaking from experience. As a fat guy, the version of me now would eat that dude alive. I would beat him in every scenario, every situation. I've got more skill. I've got more energy. I'm stronger. I'm healthier. I'm more alert. I'm more motivated. I'm more hungry. Everything. I tear that old version of myself to pieces. And you would too. So those are the two reasons your business might not be growing right now. You're not keeping the promises to yourself, and you haven't grown personally. And when you do number one, number two automatically follows. Listen, I'm rooting for you guys. I want you to win, but you got to get this. And it has to be more than just understanding. It has to be doing. I don't know how else to say it. You have to do the work. Please, for me, for you, for your family, do the work. Because when the work is done, and it's done consistently over a long period of time, you look back and you say, I will never be that version of myself ever again. Right now, you might not realize that you're not the best version of yourself. But I'm telling you, if you do everything I just said consistently for months on end, you will begin to see a transformation in your life that you didn't know was possible. And 12 months are going to go by, and you're going to look back and ask yourself, am I the same person as I was 12 months ago? And you're going to say, hell no. And then you're going to say, I'm never going back to be that person again. Because you're going to fall in love with a better version of who you are. Because, by the way, the better version of who you are is who God created you to be. Okay, and I'm not on here to preach, but God didn't create me to be some fat dude that doesn't take care of my body, right? Who's overweight, unhealthy, eating fast food every day, making excuses. No, man. He made me so I could go pursue my passions, so I could lift heavy weights and be healthy and build a business and be a good dad and do all that stuff. Like, that's the version he made. The lesser version is the versions we choose for ourselves, not the version he chose for us. So I'll leave that there. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I want you guys to win. And I know you understand this, but it's got to go further than understanding. It's got to go into action. Whatever has to happen today to put this into action, please do it. I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. As always, if you need any help marketing your business or want to work with me directly doing one-on-one coaching, visit serviceindustrycoach.com. We'll see you on the next episode.